Growing season time in Kentucky. Time to visit your local farmers markets and produce stand to buy fresh out of the garden fruits and vegetables or locally produced dairy and meat. Today on It's About You, Dr. Sandra Bastin, the UK College of Agriculture Extension Specialist for Food and Nutrition, shares her expertise on how to select and store fresh fruits and vegetables and how we can enjoy freshness throughout the year in our diet. Sandra, we hear the advice, eat fresh fruits and vegetables. Why fresh? And is there really an advantage?
Well, the neat thing about buying fresh is that you know it's been bought or been picked within the last few hours, and at the grocery store you don't know. We know that the nutrient value is best the first 8 hours, 12 hours. We know that the textures, the flavor, the smell, all of that is so much better in the first 12 hours after something is picked. And that's why we suggest that we eat fresh fruits and vegetables.
Of course, fresh is not always available, but definitely during this time of the year.
Right, while we have the opportunity, we should take advantage of it, and eating in season is the best way that we can do that. Now, we know that if we were to buy some canned tomatoes, that they would have been canned within a certain amount of time, within that frame. So I consider those fresh too. All the research says that the nutrient value is just as good as if you were to buy fresh. So if it's not available, we've got options.
Well, we know that fresh fruits and vegetables don't really have those expiration dates or use by dates. So what are the best tips for storage, and how long can produce, obviously it depends on the products,
right,
but how long can we keep items?
Well, something perishable like lettuce or the green beans, we would want to use within 3 to 5 days. And I think you can start to see and smell. The color may change slightly. So you can see things to go downhill within a week. Now something like onions, we've got some onions over there, and the potatoes, they'll last a week or two before we need to worry about the loss of nutritional value. But 3 to 5 days is what I say. When we start talking about fresh berries, now you better just be eating them within a day or two, because they will very quickly disintegrate. But you can see that, so you want to make sure that you eat them before they start to go downhill.
And do all fresh fruits and vegetables need to be refrigerated?
Not everything needs to be refrigerated. If you think of it this way, if it's got a high moisture content like the cucumbers and the beans and the lettuce that we have here, then it would need to be refrigerated. If you're talking about apples or potatoes or onions that have a skin on them, they're less likely to need refrigeration unless you're going to end up keeping them for a long period of time.
And what about tomatoes? That's something my husband and I always have major discussions.
Tomatoes are, you know, we just decide whether they're a fruit or a vegetable, but really they're just good for you, and they are so delicious, especially if they've just been picked. Tomatoes, if you're going to eat them within a day or two, leave them out on the counter. They will continue to ripen, and but if you're not, put them in the refrigerator and they'll last a whole lot longer.
Doesn't really change their nutritional content.
No, it does not. You just have a cold tomato or a not cold tomato.
Good advice. Sandra, you talked about the storage tips for fresh fruits and vegetables, but what are some tips for making sure that we store fresh meats and dairy properly as well?
Well, you know, if you're at the grocery store, there's an expiration date, which is a big help. But once again, when we think about fresh meats, we want to use those as quickly as possible. And from the farmer's market or the grocery store, we want to get it into the refrigerator as soon as possible. 3 to 5 days, ground meats 1 to 2. And if you can't use them within that time, freeze them. And they will freeze well. They'll hold for about 3 to 6 months. Ground meats about 1 to 2 months. And the quality will be the same, and you'll still be able to have a good fresh product when you thaw it out.
Well, sometimes we see organically grown or USDA organic for fruits and vegetables, meats, dairy. What is the difference? What does that mean, and what's the difference between organically grown and conventional?
Well, the main difference is the way they have produced it, and it's it now is, for you to use the term organic, you have to follow regulations set out by the United States Department of Agriculture. But The advantages are that they may not have used pesticides, they may not have used the soil may be prepared in a different manner, and so we're actually sustaining the environment by using organic types of production systems. The difference is between, there's been no research that shows they're any more nutritional than regularly grown products. However, you know, some people swear by them because they're usually a little bit more lovingly taken care of. It's usually a smaller operation, and whoever is working the farm is really there because they believe in what they're doing. And so we're also sustaining the farming systems within our community when we purchase locally grown organic. We've got some products here that are organically grown, and this is some beautiful Swiss chard. We've got some different, it comes in different colored stems, and it's very mild flavored. We can prepare it a lot like we do spinach, only we'll get rid of the stems. But this is great looking. It will probably actually look better than what we would purchase in the store because it is fresh. It hasn't been hauled in from anywhere. Sometimes we might, and this particular leaf, you'll see that there's some holes. Well, maybe there was a bug in the field that got to that, and so, but that's not going to change the quality of this product.
Sandra, you mentioned that it didn't necessarily matter how fruits and vegetables were grown. They still were nutritionally equal. What are the advantages of eating fruits and vegetables? What are the health benefits?
Well, we know through research that there's a tremendous amount of benefits in eating brightly colored fresh fruits and vegetables. They have certain chemicals in them that allow our body to maybe stave off some things like cancer or heart disease, or reducing the risk of many of those chronic diseases that we all experience or have family members that experience. So what we're looking for are brightly colored fruits and vegetables, and this is a perfect example. This particular cantaloupe, oh, it smells heavenly, but it's a bright orange, bright red, and if you start looking at fruits and vegetables, those that are brightly colored have much more nutritional value than those, say, like potatoes, which are white. So to help reduce the risk of chronic disease, we're looking for brightly colored fresh fruits and vegetables, and we want to get about 5 servings per day. And so what I suggest is, you know, you plan on getting 1 at breakfast, a couple at lunch, and a couple at dinner, and you've got it. And if one of those needs to be a juice, that's fine. So look for brightly colored fresh fruits and vegetables to help reduce that risk of chronic disease.
Well, Sandra, we all love farmers markets, but the reality is the growing season isn't year-round in Kentucky.
No.
So how can we preserve that freshness year-round?
Well, we have several different options. One, we can freeze the product. We can take them home, like corn on the cob. Maybe we make cream corn out of it and freeze it. There's several options. We could also can it. We've got some blackberry jam here. You know, blackberry season doesn't last very long. We could make a blackberry jam or a blackberry conserve that we could put over our freshly purchased pork from the market. Then we could also dry, they've got dried flowers right now, but we could also dry apples, any type of vegetables that we wanted to put into a soup for later on. So we do have some preservation options if we want to buy large amounts and go home and work a little bit. So you can follow USDA recommended recipes, then you ought to be able to preserve your bounty in the proper manner.
And if you can't preserve your own, obviously there's a lot of options in the grocery stores.
Yes, the canned fruits and vegetables are available all year long, and we know that all these major companies, they pick the truckload, they ship it to the market, and within 8 to 12 hours it is already packaged in a can. Frozen products usually within a couple hours. So we have a lot of good options for preserving our nutrients and our flavors for those cold winter nights.
So technically we can get fresh, just maybe in a different form year-round.
Exactly.
For more information about buying and preserving fruits and vegetables, contact your local Cooperative Extension office.